parents. They seem to be in such a major... Welcome to the BMore podcast. I'm your host, Erica Kane. The Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy is a public high school located right here in Baltimore, Maryland. The school's mission is to educate and graduate students who are academically and professionally ready for not only the rigors of college, but specifically for careers in the medical and healthcare field. So, if you're a parent, a student, an educator, or a community member that's not familiar with the school, you should get familiar. So to help me with that today, I'm pleased to have with me the principal of the Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy, Principal Stephanie Farmer, and James Pearson, who is class of 2023 at VTTMAA, or as the students affectionately call it, the Viv. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, definitely. So, James, school is over, class of 2023. And now you're moving on to college. We're going to talk to you about how the Viv has prepared you for all of that. Let's talk about just an overview of what the Academy offers, because I feel like this school is almost a hidden gem of Baltimore. And I'm sure folks want to know more of what it's all about.
Sure. So we are a small school of 400 students, mostly female students to be exact. We offer pathways in order for students to be successful and certified in the areas of the medical field. Mm-hmm. The pathways that we offer are EMT, Project Lead the Way, Biomedical, Nursing Assistant, Dental Assistant, and Pharmacy Assistant. Students graduate from our school certified in those areas as long as they complete all of the requirements, including requirements for MSDE diploma.
And it's so important for people to know this because, of course, Baltimore City Public Schools doesn't always get the greatest rap. Also, when it comes to young people in the city, in Baltimore, folks talk about just kind of direction on where to go. What are kids going to do? And then we talk about fields that need help, that have a demand. And so here is a school that is specifically training graduates for fields that have a demand, that need people.
So what I like to share about the school, and I'm excited to share that, we look at students to have an opportunity to get a high school diploma, but also be prepared for the career world as well. Mm-hmm. We actually push for both. We push for college and career readiness. So they're required to get accepted into at least a 2 or 4 year college, and also get the certification as well in any pathway of their choice. We reach out to organizations, businesses around the city to support the needs and the requirements of those pathways. It could be clinical hours, it could be an internship, externship. So students are exposed to the pathways very early on, starting as early as 9th grade. Mm-hmm. And then the vision is to have them out in the field by senior year before graduating, and sitting for the certification, certified before graduating as well.
Okay. Now, Principal Farmer, I've heard great things about you. So I want to talk more about you, because this isn't your first stint in the school system,
No,
of course.
So I'm actually on year 28.
Wow.
Right?
Congratulations.
And I'm on the back end. Thank you. And I really started out as a teacher. I went to college at University of Maryland for education and business. I did about 11 years. At an alternative school,
okay.
Harbor City. It's still around, but it just has a different name. And then from there, I went as an assistant principal to my high school, which was Western High School. And so it gave me an opportunity to experience education on both ends of the spectrum, mm-hmm. supporting students who need some additional supports and supporting students who really just need a push to a higher level. Mm. And so when I got my own school, that gave me the opportunity to kind of marry the two experiences together, mm-hmm. to kind of support students in that in-between, meaning I might be prepared for college, but I might want to just do a career. And so I followed a school or a principal before me, Dr. Starletta Jackson, who created the Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy School and required students to do both. So I was like, that's where I want to go next, because I could do both ends of the spectrum, especially being a CTE teacher myself as well. And when I got there, I kind of just picked up where she left off and continued to push the program, bringing in dual enrollment so that way kids can graduate with college credits as well. So I call my students like a triple threat. So they graduate with a high school diploma, they're certified in some medical area that no one ever can take the certification away from them. And if they're willing, they also have an opportunity to obtain college credits to get a jump start and also save some money too.
Yeah.
So that's Vivien in a nutshell.
Okay, okay. And are there some things that you haven't mentioned that when you think about your past experiences, because you had extensive experience with the school system, so just comparing some things that are different that makes VTTMAA different from other schools?
I think the fact that they have an opportunity to experience their pathways during the school year before they actually graduate. So, for instance, you take EMT. In preparation, they have to do the skills. They have to go to the firehouse, the fire departments. They have to do the ride-alongs. They have to actually take assessments, modules here and there, and they must pass those modules in order to move forward. So in order for them to even get certified and take that National Registry assessment, you have to pass at least 3 modules, and you cannot fail them, or you will not be able to sit for the actual test itself. So it can be very difficult and extreme for them because we're asking them to do what adults are doing while still getting a high school diploma. So that really makes a big difference. And so also talking about the nursing, dental, and pharmacy, they need externships as well in order to get their certification. So it gives them an opportunity to go out and experience those things during high school. It's built into their schedule. We set it up. We have the partners that we have to connect with to set up the what you call the memorandums of understanding, so that students can legally go out to those places and work and experience real world what's actually happening in Vivien T. The other good thing about the school is, and that's why I call it a gym, is that we have what you call a simulation. So our nursing, dental looks like a lab that you go in and you're serviced daily, regularly, right?
Yeah.
So when people come in, they're like, wow, but this is what the students are using to learn. So they're just not learning in a book. We have the simulations in the building, and they are using, the real world machinery, equipment that they need to do or use in order to get certified. Like your dentist could come in and use our dental space to run his business if he needed to, because they are in there doing x-rays. They're in there, counting the molars, counting the teeth, learning all the instruments that they need to use. We have everything that we need. I make sure I spend my budget money on the things that they need and keep up with the trends so that they are really ready when they leave high school.
Well, that's very important that you mention that budgeting and it going to where it's supposed to go, because that's what makes the programs run to the point that they're supposed to. So if you're a student at VTTMAA, you can say, if you go into dentistry or you decide to be an EMT, you can say, I've been training since I was 14 years old.
Yes, that is true. And the thing about it is, we're so fortunate in those areas because you always need someone in that medical field. So a lot of times, most of the students really get hired, even before they get out of high school, because there's such a need, especially once COVID hit.
I can imagine.
It opened up for us. We stayed open during COVID because the students had to get certified in their pathways. You have to do it in front of the teacher that's certified. So we took that risk to step out there, and of course it definitely opened up a lot of jobs because they were in such a need to get students out there to actually support the medical field during that difficult time.
Yes. Okay. Now you have James here today, who is a student of the school, and I know I would think to keep up with the curriculum, you have to be a pretty serious student. So how has VTTMAA just changed your perspective on school, on life?
I would say it's changed to have more time management and be able to control what's put on your plate. Because being a student who doing certifications, going home, taking care of their siblings, going to work, trying to balance all that at once is, if it's not for the right person, you won't be able to balance it. But being able to have that time management skills, people in your circle to support you with any tasks that you might need support with, was really helpful to get through being a student at Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy.
What were some challenges as a student?
Some challenges were, waking up early, that 7 o'clock bell.
Oh, you got to do that.
Yeah, so that was one of my biggest challenges because, during COVID, we didn't really telling my secrets, but we really didn't have to wake up, and get ready for school. It was just get ready at the top and get on the computer.
Right.
So taking that leap back into the next 2 years to end off my high school experience, was really draining. So I've overcame that and, just became successful, and with the support of Ms. Farmer and other staff in the building. They pushed me until, I became the successful student I am today.
So you've been at the academy since your freshman year.
Yes.
Do you have a concentration that you focused on during your 4 years there?
Yes.
Okay, what is your concentration or your concentration of study? Break it down for me.
So I focus on the nursing assistant pathway. And for the first 2 years, our 9th and 10th grade, we have to do structures of functions and systems and bodies and functions. And you do those 2 courses, and then your 11th and 12th grade year, you actually get the hands-on in the pathway you want to do, which I chose nursing assistant. And the summer before my 12th grade year, I actually got certified as a nursing assistant.
Okay. So you're headed to Xavier University in Louisiana, right?
Yes.
In the fall. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what is going to be your focus there?
My focus there is going to be biology pre-med to attend my dream goal of becoming an anesthesiologist.
Nice. Okay. And so you feel like the Viv has got you where you need to be in terms of work ethic? Do you feel ready? Are you excited? How do you feel?
I really don't have a feeling. I'm just ready for the next adventure that is on my plate to attend.
Okay. All right. And you feel like work ethic wise, you feel ready? You feel well trained?
Yes.
And so, I would think you have to be a pretty serious student to attend. I mean, let us know, like, in terms of just the enrollment process or just the selection process, the type of students that you're looking for.
So I'm glad you asked that question. So to be honest with you, we are a lottery school. And so students are to make choices up to 5 selected choices, and then from there it kind of goes into some algorithm, and then it just
Okay.
comes out, this is a school that you will be attending. And so some students are here because maybe a family member went here and they're not necessarily fully into the medical field, or their friend is going there, so they want to go there as well. So what we try to do is we try to encourage the students to get involved and understand the opportunity that they have before them that a lot of students don't have in all the other schools. And that is that certification, that once you have it, even if that's not what you want to do for the rest of your life, you will have something that you can always fall back on because there's always a need everywhere. We do national certifications. In addition to that, we also have students that decide that they do want to come and join us, so we try to find ways to ensure that they graduate on time and still get them certified in the pathways as well. So the 2 allied health courses that James was talking about is a requirement, and then you go back into your actual pathway itself and you take a deeper dive on what it is that you need to do. So think of those courses like foundation courses. And you also have to take the requirements of the MSDE in order to graduate and get a high school diploma. And then in order to go to college, you have to have 2 foreign languages. So technically, our students have 2 more credits than everyone else, just because, as I said before, we do college and career readiness.
Right.
So we're pushing our students at the certification is just an opportunity for them to have something on the side that they can always use if it's needed. But the goal is for them to either go to college or choose a job in a field where you can move forward. So like if you take dental, our partner is CVS. Also Giant. When they go to the pharmacy, they go there and they work and they do their clinicals, but they have a program within pharmacy as well that helps you to work towards becoming a pharmacist and
Okay.
start that pathway. So that's another way that you can do it, or you could just go ahead and leave for college and say, this is what I want to do. And so there are a lot of ways for the students to take next steps. You're looking at occupational handbook, you have the foundation in something. For James's nursing, however, nursing assistant, that's not what it is that he wants to do. However, it's a foundation of what it is that he wants to start. And the students select. We have what we call a college and career lead. He works with them to identify what's the best fit. They have to get accepted to a college, even if they're not going to college, just because you need that there, because sometimes the light bulb doesn't go off when they graduate in June of 2023.
Right.
It might not happen until the next school year.
Right.
And so they know the steps to apply. They have applied before, so you can still get funding and support because you put yourself in that lane and you understand the requirements in order to attend college or go to college.
Okay. I would think that that lottery process that you mentioned earlier presents its own set of challenges. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but so there is a chance with this lottery system that there can be a student out there that is academically qualified that may that may have a passion to be in the medical field, that really has heard about the school, that really wants to attend, but due to the lottery, they may not be able to get in.
That's a great question. So that's not necessarily true, because
Okay.
those parents and students will call the school directly to say, hey, I'm wondering if I can get in because I did select it as my number one choice, but it wasn't the choice that I received.
Okay.
Would you still consider, allowing me to come to school? So anyone that calls me like that, I will definitely make space for them, because it means it's a place that they want to be. They know that the medical field is what they want to do, and they want to be here.
Okay.
And they will get there, and they will, they will thrive because this is what they want to do, as opposed to being somewhere where they don't want to be.
Got it.
And it worked both ways as well. Sometimes the students' minds change just like as adults. Our minds change all the
Yeah.
time. So it gives them an opportunity to make decisions that would best fit them.
Right. And then it can also work in a positive way where someone who did not really have this on their radar, they come and then it opens their mind to a whole different perspective.
And that is true. So you have a lot of the students walking around in their lab coats, their uniforms, their colors for that pathway.
Yeah.
So younger students are in awe, like, oh, I want to do that.
That's exciting.
Yeah. They do demonstrations for the students as well once a year, so that way we try to get them involved in identifying what pathway you're truly interested in, because it's a very tight system. If we have those two foreign language classes, there's no room for anything except for taking the classes just that you need, so that you don't so that you graduate on time.
Gotcha. Okay. The healthcare field, it has its own challenges in terms of stress. A lot of industries are stressful, but the medical and healthcare field especially, you hear about the stresses, how it can wear on your mental health, and how, there has to be support for that, for people in those fields. Is there any type of support, or do you touch on any of those factors at the school?
Not necessarily for the field, just as being a student in general. So, like James talked about earlier, it can be a bit overwhelming taking on, you're already doing your classes that are required by MSDE. You have the 2 additional courses for foreign language as well, which you need to get into a college. And then you say, okay, now you're taking 4 more classes so that you can graduate as a completer and then sit for the test for certification. And then pharma's always trying to push, so I got dual enrollment classes. So who's going to sign up? Or I'll sign you up. Because I feel like, when you're in a room with like-minded people, that helps you to grow and that pushes you forward. So you put those kids together and they kind of push each other forward, and then they think they're great because they're like, oh my goodness, I'm taking college credits in high school. I've had kids graduate up to 12 credits. If they do something, every year or every semester or over the summer, they could really graduate finishing their first year of college.
Yeah.
It's all in how you want to push yourself as a student. So the availability is out there. It's exciting for me. So I try to push as many students as I can, and I start them like in the 10th grade. And some of them, they do well, and then some of them, they don't. So you make a decision. Like,
Yeah.
Ms. Farmer, this might not be for me. So I'll find some other things that they could do, honors or AP. And then those that love taking the college classes, then, okay, let's see what's next. So it could be anywhere from psychology to English 1, like 101, not English 1. And some of the courses actually align to the high school credits.
Okay.
So those are the ones that are most beneficial, because then you don't have to take English 2 or English 3 or 4 if it's aligned to a course that's offered, like speech or something like that,
Yeah.
On that college level.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the legacy of Dr. Vivien T. Thomas, because it's so important. The program itself is so important to the city, but I think it's also so important to know about the legacy behind it. So he was unique in the way that he didn't really have any professional education
Right.
or experience in a research laboratory. However, he served as supervisor of the surgical laboratories at Johns Hopkins for over 35 years. In 1976, they awarded him an honorary doctorate and named him an instructor of surgery for the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, but it goes deeper than that because he's born in 1910 during the Jim Crow era. And he rose through so much to get to where he was. His father was a carpenter, and so he taught his expertise to him and his brothers. And it was this carpentry skill that got him on the campus of Fisk University after high school because he was repairing facility damages. And the whole time he's on the campus, he's like, I want to go to school. I want to be a doctor. But then the Great Depression comes.
Yes.
And derails his plans. So he's still determined. 1930, he reaches out to a childhood friend who's working at Vanderbilt University at the time, and he asked were there any jobs available. February 1930, he got a job there as a surgical research assistant with Dr. Alfred Blaylock. Yeah. And this is what really changed the tide for him. So on his first day of work, Vivien Thomas assisted Dr. Blaylock with a surgical experiment on a dog, and within weeks, he was starting surgery on animals on his own. Now, at this time, he was classified and paid as a janitor, where he's performing. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but I feel like people should know this story.
Yes.
He's paid and classified as a janitor at this time, but was doing postdoctoral research work in a lab. At this time, struggling with his finances, even though he's assisting this doctor. And then the banks fail in Nashville, so then he loses all of his savings. And he's still struggling and working behind this doctor. And so he's kind of abandoning plans for medical school at this point. But the whole time, he's assisting Dr. Blaylock. And Dr. Blaylock, with the groundbreaking work that they're doing, is receiving a lot of accolades. And they're doing experimental work in vascular cardiac surgery. And while he's gaining this recognition, still being classified and paid as a janitor. And then Dr. Blaylock is offered the position at his alma mater, Johns Hopkins, as chief of surgery. And of course, he wants Vivien Thomas to come along with him because, of course.
Why not? Why
Because
not?
really, when it came to the animals, it was really Dr. Thomas's hands that was doing all the work. But because he did not have the medical certification, he wasn't able to physically do surgery on humans. But he was training surgeons to the point that now he's training surgeons at Johns Hopkins that they're going to the top of their field, but he's still not allowed to touch a human. So he comes to Baltimore, and it's funny because he said when he came to Baltimore, the racism was even crazier than it was back in Nashville because he's walking the halls in his white lab coat, and they're like, "What are you doing here?"
Right.
At Johns Hopkins. I mean, you don't have a mop in your hand. What's going on, sir? How did you get that coat? And this begins his 38 career at Johns Hopkins. But while he's doing all this life-saving, unprecedented, revolutionary work and flawless work, he sometimes had to resort as being a bartender. Sometimes at Dr. Blaylock's parties, which put him in a position that he was serving drinks to people that he had been teaching and training earlier that day.
That is correct.
But they negotiated on his behalf, and he became the highest paid assistant at Johns Hopkins by 1946. Went on to work at Johns Hopkins even 15 years after Dr. Blaylock passed. In his role as surgical research laboratories, he mentored a number of African-American lab assistants, as well as Hopkins' first black cardiac resident, Levi Watkins Jr. So just what a legacy and what this man had to go through, how talented he was.
Yes.
But still had to receive an honorary degree just to be able to be called doctor.
Yes, that is correct. I was pretty excited when I got to the school to actually hear his story, even though I watched the movie with Mos Def with Something the Lord Made, right? And that's one of the movies that we actually show to our freshman students so they can have a clear understanding of the perseverance that we're expecting from them as well.
Yes.
And that's kind of how, we push the students and get them to understand his vision and mission and the vision and mission of the school as well, right? The other thing is also we've been able to meet his family. They've come in to meet with us. We do something called like a discussion about perseverance and what the students are doing. It's like his great-great-grandson, granddaughter, and then their family as well. It's still an extension. Johns Hopkins has loaned us a lot of stuff that's in the building in the showcases for the students and any visitor to look at that belongs to him. Sparks Media did something called a Partner of the Heart, a Black Man, a Blue Baby, and a Miracle, right? And we watched that, him actually working with Dr. Blaylock. And they build upon that story every year, and they come back every year, and we sit around with popcorn and watch it, and then have real-time discussions with his family and other folks that come in to support.
And right now that title,
that media,
that title, the Blue Baby, that's referring to Blue Baby syndrome.
Yes.
Because of course he was
because he developed
that work,
right?
right.
Yeah, and taught Blaylock over the observatory. Talking to the doctors about what it is that they need to do. So it's just really teaching the students the same thing. Don't ever give up on your dreams. It might not come the way that you want. However, you always need to work hard and push forward and make sure that you have that same stamina in the things that you want to do. And we have to push the students a lot. They don't always keep the mark. But I'm always there to make sure that they stay on the mark as much as possible.
Yeah.
And just trying to find ways to get them to understand where they come from and how important we really are as a people, because most of the instruments that they're using on you now were developed by Vivien T. Thomas.
And when you heard Dr. Thomas's story, how did that change things for you, or how did it make you feel?
It showed me that there's actually, that by me being a black male, that I can actually go out and reach that goal of becoming a doctor and not allowing no one to step in my path and stop me from my dream goals.
Absolutely. And just so important to keep the story and the legacy going for someone to just give so much to the industry that affects and still saves so many lives today.
Right.
And that's why it's just, it's so important. It's so cool to see this program and everything that you're all doing, to see the students that are thriving, that are graduating, that are moving on to different institutions here in Maryland and beyond. You're on your way to Xavier University in Louisiana. So it's really great to see. And I see how invested you are in the students, and I see how invested you are in just life at the Viv.
Yes.
And I see that you have a why.
I do have a why. It's not only the college and career readiness, but it's also, and I always say this all the time, building a well-rounded student so they can step in any room and have a seat at any table. So I do a lot of other social emotional stuff as well, especially since after COVID. We have what we call Club Fridays, where the kids can develop clubs. For them to have a voice. So you can talk about, SGA, because James talked about it. A lot of the kids work after school.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out how to tap into that. So that's what we do. We do anything from gardening to cooking. We go to plays. We're looking to travel. We're working on getting passports so that we can travel and just expose students to everything that we possibly can. Because it's different than probably when you and I came up, when we had, big mamas there to fill in the gaps while our parents were working. It's not always working like that for a lot of our students. A lot of our students are currently working now in order to support themselves. So I have to be creative in ways that I can expose them to all the other pieces. We do stuff like clubs. We participate in medical clubs like Skills USA, Ocean City. James and probably about 12 other students went down to compete with other Maryland schools in the pathways that we currently offer as well.
Nice.
But just that exposure to go down to the beach. And I'm like, James, take everybody down to the beach, take their shoes off, bring me back the hottest pictures, make sure that everybody look like they're having a great time, because if not, they really would never experience that or expose that.
Yeah.
And then when you post it, it let other students know, like, oh, I can do that. We want to do that too. We want to go, to Skills USA or participate. So it's also about Vivien T, but it also includes all the other schools in the district, Baltimore City District.
Right.
And us, trying to find ways to support and help our students, as well as making sure that we are connecting and touching everyone in some way outside of just academics in order for them to be successful, because we could drop them off at a campus, but then can you manage there without all of the sports that we have provided you with, moving forward?
Right, absolutely. So if students, possible prospective students, faculty, parents want to learn more about the Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy.
One, they can, come and visit us. We're at 100 North Calhoun Street. We're on the corner of Lexington and Calhoun. We can be reached at 443-984-2831. You can ask for Principal Farmer. I'm always available. I'm always looking for great students to come to the building, to help families be able to do what they need to do, and I can spend the time guiding the students where they need to go based on what we agree to, right? We are also on IG as Vivien T. Thomas _.
Yes.
Okay. And you can also find us on Twitter under London Farmer, Facebook.
St. Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy.
Okay, thank you.
Well, yes, make sure you look them up. Make sure you support. So glad to have you here, Principal Stephanie Farmer, principal at VTTMAA, the Viv, a.k.a. Vivien T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy, and also James Pearson, who will be attending Xavier University, graduate of VTTMAA class of 2023. So congratulations to you. Continue to do great things. I know the school is going to be excited when you come back to visit. I know they're going to miss you, and I know they're going to look forward to you coming back. And we just look forward to you guys continuing to do great things in Baltimore because it's so needed. The city needs you. The students need you. The world needs you because you're sending students out into the world.
Yes, ma'am.
So we just appreciate all the great work that you're doing. So continue it on.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
for having us.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to catch more episodes of the To Be More podcast, just log on www.WMAR2news.com. I'm your host, Erica Kane. Thanks for watching.